Hey folks, wanted to give a quick backstory before we get too far here into the video. Long story short, we're following this old railroad through the swamp here, and we're going to come across a bunch of beaver dams. Obviously, the abandoned MN&E railroad. We'll end up finding the railroad grade, and we'll come across this thing that I thought when I was a kid, I used to think it was a boiler. And the further we go into the video, we'll find more of these so-called boilers, and they end up being culverts. So, and then toward the end of the video here, last about third, we'll end up exploring an abandoned railroad bridge, and that bridge was actually the Ann Arbor Railroad. I don't know any history on it, and at the end also we'll have some maps, so if anybody wants to visit these spots, I have places circled on a map where all these locations are at, so you guys can hopefully go and enjoy them. And then also too, I'll throw a little bit of history on the MN&E Railroad. So hope you guys enjoy.
On the rail line, you guys couldn't really see it through the time-lapse video, but this here I've been trying to determine. I've been out here before when I was a kid. Is this a boiler or is this a culvert pipe? Because I'll show you an example a couple miles down the road of a culvert. Now if you see these holes here going all the way around this, was this a steam dome right here? I'm not sure. We'll walk around over here, take a look inside. You know, I'm not sure. I know some steam guys will be able to identify this. It's lapped right here, lap seams, and there is what appears to be mounting bolts, maybe for drive wheels. Not sure. If this is just a culvert, it wouldn't have all these mounting holes. Now, last time I was back here was pre-COVID. When I came up here to visit my family. If you see out here, this is all flooded. And I talked to the DNR about it, and they said, yeah, they don't want this flooding out here. And that they would get officers out here to kind of bring down the dam, and it's really backing up this valley. But anyway, we're gonna follow this rail line back as far as we can, and we'll check out these beaver dams while we're at it, and then we'll get to the railroad bridge, which is actually in a whole nother town. I can't cross through some of this because it is private property, and I like to respect that. So like over there is private property, hippity hoppity, get off my property. But as a kid, I used to be able to walk this whole thing and check it out, like a beaver dam. Now, pre-COVID, this dam was not all the way up here, so these beaver have been busy. We'll get down to the main one. I've never seen anything like it. They have been busy at work. So I'll continue walking this rail line. Well, this took a turn of events here. Like I said, I was, 4 years ago, this was not flooded. Instead of being Wheeler Creek, it's now Wheeler Lake. And you can still see a remnant of the rail right here. You can, there is no rail, but you can still see where it ran. So we're gonna have to somehow get along this. We got about 5 miles we got to get to. So we're gonna have to get up here on this bank, and hopefully we can meet back up with this. All right, here's the second tier. I think there's probably gonna be 5 or 6 of these tiers of beaver dams. So basically they cut the tree down, they wedge sticks in here, and then they start taking muck and mud and shoving it in the holes. This goes all the way across. I mean, it is huge. Now their main den might be over here. I'm not sure, but we'll climb this dead tree and hopefully she stays. Don't break, please. Not want to get wet. But there's the main portion of it. It's not a very good view. but I know I keep taking these breaks, but so all these trees were alive 4 years ago, and because they've been submerged for so long, I think it's killing them. So the beaver aren't really not doing any favors down here. But I'm pretty positive. See, right there's one of the, they've dammed up like a little house over there. Pretty sure our rail line's running right here. So, I mean, either wade through the water or go around, but I want to be exactly on it. All right, we're up on the third tier here of Beaver Dam. I tell you what, this would be a railroader's nightmare if this happened overnight. But that sucker right there, I bet you it's 4 foot tall. And I know the lighting with this junk GoPro isn't very good, but we'll get you in there to see. Jump through the swamp here. Look at that. Look at this. Oh, that's water up there. I mean, it's up to my chest dang near. Let's keep going. There's the creek. Judging by this, I don't know if this is where it's supposed to be coming out at, because it doesn't look wide enough. But we're gonna follow this curve and see where it goes. But I just thought I remember the rail bed being more centered. And maybe I'll jump over and go find out before I start chasing that up there. Let's do it. All right, this looks more like it. So I think this is the last of the beaver dams, but there is a high spot up here, so I don't understand. I don't understand what is going on. So we're gonna jump this creek and go see, I guess. These beavers dammed it up, and it's changed the whole orientation of everything. So I don't know. There was a good couple, I don't know, a couple 100 yards. I couldn't find any, I don't know, evidence of a track. But if you see here, it's sloped. It's hard on GoPro, but it's sloped on this side. You got swamp on this side. You got a bunch of younger trees here in the center. Older swamp trees, older trees. And down here is almost like a drainage ditch. And it is nicely graded. So I think we're on the right track. Still see small remnant of it. This is the part that you can probably see on Google Earth. But you know, I really give our ancestors props. You know, they laid this train rail through a swamp. They built this up, ran a temporary rail through here, and I probably clear cut this. There's a lot of young cedars in here. They're probably 70 years old. Some are younger. But you know, this was some hard work back in the day. All right, so we're been walking. Here's a culvert. Man, this would be a good little swimming hole. That's deep. Whoa, about fell in. Let's see if I can get you guys in there. See if you can see the other side. Look at that. So maybe these were just culverts. Not sure. It looks similar. Oh, look at this. What are the frickin' chances? That's a piece of coal. That is hilarious. I am getting hot. Oh, this is spring water. It is so cold. All right, let's keep going. Got us a little souvenir. 120-year-old souvenir, maybe. Let's keep going. This goes right under the rail bed, so. Sweet. Answers my question. Let's keep going. Now we're to a point where they actually had to make a cut. There's a bank on each side because this actually sat too high. And boy, is it thick. Whew. It appears we made it to the crossing. I was always intrigued by this spot. Lots of people have gotten stuck here because it is absolute swamp. Get out there without falling. Yeah, don't get your truck stuck in that. It is a rut. But yeah, right here's the crossing. Goes to here. Here's a way clearer path. We'll go check that culvert out and we'll get to the abandoned bridge. I really want to walk it, but my time here in Michigan is very short. So let's just get over here to this culvert and check it out, and we'll drive to the bridge. All right. This is a great watering hole to jump in. Here's the culvert. So my hunch is right. That thing that I always thought was a boiler, I do think were just culvert pipes. You could see in a couple spots on that rail line where they dug them up and actually reused them. And these here were probably just anchor bolts to lower MN. You can still see coal and coke from the boiler just sitting here. Bridge, here's the other side of Wheeler Creek. Now there's South Fork or North Fork or something I gotta look up on the map where this rail line goes and these two creeks meet. And that's how I'm actually gonna find the rest of it. I really wanna take this all the way to the M37, but I don't know if it crosses private property or not. So we'll figure that out later. The video camera never does a view justice, but here it is. So rail line crosses right about right here, right there, where it came out at. We're about 3 miles away from where I first started at the lake. And then right up here is the MN&E River. We're going to cross here in a second. So this big bridge we're going to is actually the main rail line. I don't know anything about it, and next time I'm up here, or hopefully when I'm living up here, I can make a full video on that rail line, but we'll see if we can find anything cool besides just the bridge. So the main rail line splits off right here, follows the river up to Wheeler Creek, and the part that we walked was right here, and that takes us up to Lake Gitchagumi, which actually now that rail bed back then ran right through the lake, which is now a lake, which it was Wheeler Creek at the time. And it actually comes up, wraps around, goes somewhere over here on the east side of Buckley. So right now we'll go check this bridge out and see what we're after. All right, here is the railroad bridge. You can see the rail line all the way down. If you decide to come down this to visit this bridge, you're gonna have to back probably a mile. So if you like to hike, park at the end, walk it. There it is. Don't know how many feet down it is, and it's not safe crossing it, but just walk on the steel beam part. Wood is a lot more rotten than 10 years ago when I would come out here. Let's get you a view underneath. Nice and easy. Somebody came out here and lit this on fire recently like an idiot, or got struck. But there it is all the way across. Because this, I used to be able to walk on this all the way across. So we're gonna walk across it anyways. But there's the Man-O-Stee. Little but down this line, this is a main line at one time. It splits off and actually follows the river around here and then goes, I don't know my east and west here very well, but it stays on this side of the river and ends up going up Sherman Hill to Buckley, Michigan from Mesick. And you crazy bridge jumpers, this is not one you want to jump from the top because you can pretty much see the bottom. It's a sandy bottom. Now I've seen people get down here on that concrete pier part of the bridge and jump off, and if you look really close you can see that part of that bridge is actually sitting on the concrete, but below it is old rail ties. Pretty interesting. All right, so here's part of the bottom of the bridge. Head up underneath of it. It's a pretty popular spot to stop when you're kayaking. And look at that. That's just gorgeous. As you can see, not much is getting under this. The Man-O-Stee isn't very deep, and you're not just gonna roll a ship down here, maybe a small boat. But that's it. Let's see if I can get up here without falling in the river. All right, you can see these are all hot steel rivets. They would heat these up and they would go through the hole, and then on one side you either take a hammer that's cupped or like a pneumatic impact and squeeze this hot steel together. The rivets would be hot and would suck it in together. This is one piece, so one side would have the nub on it, the other side would have the shaft. It would go through, they'd clamp one side, and this would be red hot, and this is squeeze it together, and this is what would make the hot rivet. But it would appear down here, this must move to an extent, so the bridge kind of floats here in the center, and then up there it might be independent. I'm not sure. I'm not an architect, so if you ever came out here and wanted to jump off, you could from this lower platform. Would suggest not doing it from the top. I'm sure people have, but heavy breathing. Here we are at the center of it. Really unfortunate this caught on fire. It wasn't like this about 6-7 years ago. That looks relatively recent. And they even heated up the steel, you can see it.
Alright, like I said in the beginning of the video, I want to show you guys some maps, a little bit of history. This is the MN&E Railroad. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that this did run up to Buckley, where there were several sawmills, over to Walton Junction. That's kind of between Manton and Kingsley area. So here on the map, you can see at the very top, that red line, there is Lake Gitchagumi. And this is the trail I followed. And you can still see remnants on Google Earth of the rail line. This is a seasonal road that'll take you to Sherman Hill from Buckley. I thought this was like 3 miles, but in reality it's like 1.5, maybe 2 to the seasonal road where the red line stops. So that was pretty good. There was a good stretch of about half mile of really nice clear line. You could see clear as day, and it was easy walk. Other than that, it was really thick, and obviously the beavers decided to make their home down there. Alright, so the second picture here is a Google Earth, obviously, and you'll see a red line to the left. At the end of the video, you see me point to the right, and this is the actual MN&E. If you look really close at the picture, you can still see a line that's going toward the sharp bend in the river, and that's the MN&E Railroad that we were on. Now, the bridge we were on was the Ann Arbor Railroad. 2 separate railroads. I don't know who owned what, but there's 2 maps, and another map shows them separate. But I've been told this actually split off, and they shared Ann Arbor Railroad, shared MN&E. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure somebody can elaborate on that, but circled right there is the bridge for the Ann Arbor Railroad. And you can see to the right how long that walk is. That's a clear trail. If you do take your car down that or your truck, I would suggest taking a Jeep or ATV. You're probably going to have to back all the way back if you take a car, because it's really tight trying to turn around. And if you go off into the ditch a little bit, you're done. You're going to be in the swamp or in a muck, or you're going to fall off the side of the hill. It's a really steep grade on the side, so be careful there. Alright, so on the third picture here, you'll see a map. You'll see Mesick circled there in blue. You'll see Buckley circled in the red. And if you look up to the right, you'll see Baxter and Walton, and you'll see a black circle. So this is the actual MN&E Railroad that ran through Mesick, Buckley, and up to Walton Junction. And I found out recently, and I didn't bring my camera, my grandpa and I actually went out here the day before I left Michigan. And Walton Junction was quite the Wild West town. And we actually went out to this spot, and ironically, he showed me a spot where they built the railroad, and there was a huge beaver dam right across the swamp. And it was pretty cool. Something you don't get to see. It was a large lake, and they must have had a pretty large bridge to go across it. My grandpa told me that his grandpa, back in the day, from Kingsley, could see the train on the MN&E Railroad. He could see the smoke. And the reason why you could see that is because everything was clear cut. All these trees on the Manistee River and Buckley, Mesick, Kingsley area, Walton Junction. I mean, when they came in here in the early 1900s, they really clear cut everything. And Kingsley kind of sits on a hill a little bit where my grandpa lives. So I could see why that story is true. So that's about it. If you guys have any more information on MN&E Railroad, leave it in the comments. I appreciate you sticking it out to the end and hearing my little story. If you can, hit a like and subscribe. Thanks.